Hi there, this is Jacob Nash. I was about to say geometry, wrong one. Precalculus lessons, sorry about that. This is Unit 1, Lesson 8. Sorry that I didn't put that on there this time. On even and odd functions. So I have this thing here. These are headphones that are Skull Candy. That's what brand it is. And I don't know if this thing is the microphone. So if this is louder, I don't know. So you can try to hear that intro thing. But anyways, let's get into the video. Even or odd functions. There can be even, they can be odd. How do you know which one? And also what does that even mean? Okay. How to know if it's even or odd by equation. So you have to know if it's even or odd by looking at an equation, graph, or table. And I'll show you how to do all three of those. So if it's even or odd, that basically just tells you like what kind of function it is in terms of its values, and it describes its symmetry. So when you're looking at an equation, you can know if it's even or odd by doing this. So you have to look at the degree of each term. So remember, terms are the things that are separated by pluses or minuses. So if you have 3x, 3 and x aren't both terms. It's 3x that's the term, and then whatever comes before or after. If all the terms degrees, that means what exponent there is. If the exponents are even, then the function is even. If they're odd, then the function is odd. If there's sum of both, then it's neither. It's not even or odd. Also, sometimes there's fractions. Even over odd means odd. Odd over even means odd. Even over even means even. Odd over odd means even. And if there's a neither on either of those, then numerator or denominator, it's neither. So basically, if it's different, then it's odd, and if it's the same thing on both, it's even. And we'll look at examples, then that will make more sense. By a table, if x and this doesn't really make sense when you just see it here, but if you see a x value, and when that value is negative, if the y is the same for both of those, then it's an even function. If you have an x value and also a negative, and the positive value and the y value for the positive is positive, and the y value for the negative, x, is negative, then it's odd. Once again, this will make more sense when you look at it. And if it's just something random, then it's neither. If you look at a graph, if it can be reflected over the y-axis, so that's the vertical one, if it's like this or like this, usually the two things will point in the same direction if it's even. The two arrows, if it's like this or like this, then it's even. Not like that, just U or upside down U. If a graph can be rotated, so that's if it's even. If a graph can be rotated 180 degrees, so this would be 90, this would be 180. I can't really do that with my hands, but it's the same either way. That's odd. If it doesn't do either of those, then it's neither. So now, try to do this. Okay, now we're looking at this. So now we're on class notebook. So I haven't completely abandoned it because I found out that it's not so good to draw on that thing. But my iPad still I can't use it right now. So I'll still have to draw on the screen here. So these are just the things I already told you. So now let's use them to figure out if these are even or odd. There's 10 different things. And we have some equations, tables, and graphs. All right, the first one. Since it's an equation, we need to look at each term and the degree of it. Okay, so the first term is 5x to the fourth. Since the 4 exponent is even, then this term is even. E, I'll just put E. The next one, 3x squared, is also even because 2 is even. Now, okay, it's not there. The 5, a constant is always even. I can just say that already, but if you want to know why, it's because since there's no x, you assume that there's an x to 0th. And when there's an x to the 0th, that means 1, because anything to the 0 power is 1. 5 times 1 is 5. So that's why, but you can just always know if there's something that doesn't have a variable, it's even. And since all of these are even, then the function is even. I don't know if the screen was flickering for you. I have this weird thing where if I draw on the computer, it flickers the screen. Second thing, the 5x to the third is odd because 3 is odd. 2x is also odd because that really means x to the first. Also, that 1 is odd. So 2 is odd because both of those are odd. Number 3, the first one is even because of the exponent. Second one is odd. I said if anything has no x or a variable, then it's even. EOE, if you have odd and even, I told you that's neither. So neither. It's not even or odd. So that's the equation. So it's pretty straightforward. Oh, we have one more equation. If there is a fraction, then you still do the same thing, but you see what it turns out to be at the end. I'll show you what that is. So odd for this part, so the 3, odd here too, odd here, odd here. So that means that the numerator is odd divided by the denominator that is odd. And I told you from the rule back up here, if you have odd over odd, it's even. So because think about it like a negative. If you have a negative divided by a negative, you get a positive. Think about it like that. So don't get mixed up. Odd divided by odd is even. And there is a way to do this algebraically. You just plug in negative x for x and see if you get the same thing or a different thing. But I'm not showing that because this is simpler to do. But just know that you could do that if you wanted to. All right, now we're going to look at the tables. So number 5, we can't do the thing anymore because there's not an equation. We look at all of the positive x values and we look at their y values. Well, really 0 is not positive, so I'll just undo that. Our y value is 1 for x1 and it's 2. So they're the same for the x and y. But what about when you make the 1 negative? You still get a positive 1. And when you have negative 2, you still get a positive 2. If you think about this, negative 2, 2 would be like a point, and then negative 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2. So this would be like almost like a parabola shape. And that by our graph rules, we know that would be an even function. So we already know this is even, but by knowing this from the table, we know it's even because I told you no matter what the sign is of the x value, the y value is the same. So because a positive 1 makes a negative, a positive x makes it, let me start up. Positive 1x makes a positive 1y. A negative 1x still makes a positive 1y. The y's have to be the same for both negative and positive 1 for the x. So I hope you understand what I mean by that, but the y's are going to be the same. No matter the sign of the x, that would mean even. Okay, now let's look at the next one. Okay, this time we get a 1, then we get a 9. Let's look at our negative 1. 2. Well, that if this was supposed to be an even function, then that would still be a 9. If this was an odd function, that would be a negative 9. But since it's a 2, I said if it's something random, neither. So neither. Okay. 7. This time, we really only have to look at 1. Up here, I did 1 and 2, but you only have to look at 1, and let's just look at 1. 1 for the x means 1 for the y. Negative 1 for the x means negative 1 for the y. Oh, since the y changes signs as the x does, that means odd. Okay. Now, for this function, if we were to, we know that it only could be even, like if we're looking at our options that we have here, we could have even, odd, or neither. We can already cross out odd because odd would have to mean that the arrows are in different directions. If it's even, then it would have to have symmetry over the y-axis, and it does, so it's even. If it didn't, if it was something like weird like that, then, or I don't know, if it was like something weird like that and it was like that wouldn't work. That would be neither. All right, now this one, number 9, EON. You cross out, it's not even because the arrows are in different directions, so it could only be odd or neither. Now I said that if you flipped this 180 degrees, if you like rotated it and it was the same thing, then that would mean it's odd. And another way to look at it is just, does it look like that it could be folded over evenly? And it's a little bit hard to tell because this isn't an accurate graph, but it was supposed to be yes, odd. Now, number 10, we can already, the arrows are in different directions. It's not a very good graph, really, but they're in different directions, so we can cross out E. But this thing, if it would not have any symmetry, so it's neither. You can tell by its weird shape. So there you go. That's how you know if function is even or odd. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.